Thanks for that great introduction. I am the chairman of Botswana Metals, which I will refer to as BML tonight by habit, and we are a publicly listed company on the ASX. I'll open up the presentation, and what our presenter didn't mention that Mr. Peter Temby, our consulting geologist, will do the technical presentation. As if you know me, I'm not a technical person. If you don't know me, I've just told you I'm not a technical person. So, but I think, and my objective tonight is to really get you guys to have a look at the opportunities that are around and the opportunities that BML, amongst all the presenters tonight, offers. But before I start, the organisers, I mean, what a fantastic job they've done tonight. I think we should all put our hands together and thank them all. Fantastic. The presenters before me, it really does go to show that Australia is at the forefront of mining and exploration. Some great opportunities. We all lack capital. That's why we're here tonight. We've actually got our hands out looking for you guys to back us through the next cycle. But what some great stories, and I think we've been privileged to hear those, and we really should go home and listen to what's been said tonight. And if you back what you like, I think in the long term you're going to be very well rewarded. So thanks to all those guys. You've set a great precedent tonight. For myself, I've got to make my own disclosure. I'm basically an entrepreneur, and you've probably seen me with other hats. I'm the chairman of Cardia Bioplastics, which is a listed company. I'm the former chairman of ACAP, which is now ranked in the top 10 undeveloped uranium mines in the world, and that little announcement by Extract today doesn't help us at all, doesn't do us any harm at all. I'm also about to list a company that's involved with lithium and potash and uranium in Botswana, and I've been associated with companies that were taken out by some names that you're fairly familiar with. I've been involved with Media Entertainment, which was taken out by Kerry Packer before James was around. Magna Pacific, where we were the first company in this country to convert DVDs into CDs. I'm involved with the first company in the world to convert plastic waste into transport quality diesel. And I'm also involved in bioplastics. Why do I say this? I tell you this because I think I'm a visionary, and I think I'm very successful in what we do. We're usually ahead of the pack, and we usually make the guys that back us early a lot of money. And that leads me into Botswana Metals. And well, Botswana Metals, we're an early stage explorer, but with a great start and with a full focus on Botswana. If I have to leave you with one message tonight, it is that a very simple message, and that is that BML is a great value proposition. With a current market cap of, as you can see, they're 8.5 million, and compared with our competitors, which I'll go through later, and considering what we've achieved and the potential we have, well, I'll let you judge whether you believe at the end of this presentation that we do represent true value. Our exploration ground, we believe, can be classified as blue chip exploration ground. We're on a grossly unexplored belt known as the Limpopo Belt in Botswana. It's located on the eastern border of Botswana, and I liken its exploration potential to that of WA some 30 years ago. Very hard to pick up 3,000 square kilometres of potential ground, which is not seen modern day technology. In between us, to the north of us, 80 kilometres to the north of us, is a very well-known Tati copper nickel mine, and only 50 kilometres south of us, as the crow flies, is the Sievely-Pickley mine and smelter, which has been operating for several years and owned by the Botswana government in joint venture with Norilsk now, after they purchased that from Lion Ore. In respect to history, I think you heard a bit of it. BML was spawned out of ACAP in 2008, where we separated the uranium assets from the base metal assets. The IPO was supported by Macquarie Bank, RBC and Bell Potters. And, we truly believe that separation allowed us to focus on the potential that Peter Temby will present to you tonight. As a country, Botswana is, it's known as the Switzerland of Africa. It's backed up with the world's largest diamond mine by value, called the Oprah Mine, which is owned by the Botswana government and De Beers, and really had put Botswana on a map in terms of a mining destination in the late 60s. It's a great country to do business with. It's sound mining laws, great infrastructure, it's English speaking, well educated with that mining skills in the country. We believe that we're well positioned to operate in the country without any concerns, and that's a big thing, a big statement if you're looking at Africa and other parts of the world. In respect to our BML success, in such a short time since listing in 2008, we've made 3 discoveries for copper, silver and nickel copper. And we've just only recently conducted a VTEM survey where over 50 VTEM anomalies have been identified on our belt. The drilling results to date have been good in terms of grade and good in terms of width. And Peter will go through that with you. Where we were getting grades of up to 60% in the copper, over 2,000 parts per million in the silver, granted over narrow widths, but then supported in other areas where we're getting intercepts of up to 38 metres at 1.8% copper and 119% silver. Basically, we've just scratched the surface. You're going to see that very shortly. We're aggressive. We're still drilling as we speak, and we're expecting results at any time, which we'll release to the market shortly. You'll see when I put up the chart that we're price sensitive on results, and at a market cap at $8.5 million, I think that we're very, very well positioned to look after our current shareholders and any future investor who wants to participate. The board's run by one of the most experienced people in Botswana and our management team. In fact, 4 of our members hold over 60 years' experience in the country. And the 2 of us tonight, Peter and myself, hold 35 of that years between us. So I know Botswana, Peter knows Botswana. We have close relationships with the mines department, the drillers, the local chiefs, the local expertise, the workers and the community. In essence, again, I'm repeating myself, we know Botswana. Moving forward, our equation is simple. Drill, drill, drill. The results of this strategy will confirm what you're about to hear tonight, whether our new discoveries can be moved to an economic resource. At the end of the day, we're all here to make money. And it will test, as soon as we can, the 50 VTEM anomalies that I mentioned earlier to you, in line with our economic and exploration objectives. Should we be successful, it will truly give birth to the Limpopo Belt as a new metal province for Botswana. It's early days, which brings early opportunities. And to those with vision and who can accept the risks that come with it, I think that you've got to listen to what we've got to say. You'll see our cash position is only $2 million, and I can tell you, you cannot be a mining company or cannot move to mining status with $2 million. But that presents an opportunity in the short term for those who want to participate in early exploration with some significant upside in the exploration and development cycle. I'm now going to go through the presentation document with some company statistics before handing over to Peter. I think we'll then take some questions, and I think after me we hit the jazz floor, which at this point of the night is rather tempting. Now, I'm not too good with the gadgets, but I'll give this a go. But you can see there that we've got a very small board, very experienced. Myself, Dr. Paul Woolridge, who's on the board of ACAP, and Botswana. He's also been involved with Gallery Gold, and he's taken 2 other mines, both on the TSX and the AIM board, into full production. Peter's our consulting geologist. We have men on the ground, expats. Derek Halford leads a team of about 30 people in Botswana. 144 million shares. The options are exercisable at 10 cents up to 30th of June 2013. Major market cap 8.5 million. Top 20, 50%. you'll see that the top three shareholders actually hold 30%, of which the directors, including myself, hold 23%. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. I'm not sure how to click this to the next. I'm to keep pressing the button. Oh, there we go. Okay. I mentioned Botswana is known as the Switzerland of Africa. It's just a wonderful place to deal in. Our expats are there with their wives and kids. The education system's great. Mining Act is great. People are great. It's just a wonderful place if you want to be in Africa to be in. Okay, there's our tenure. We hold over 3,000 square kilometres along that Limpopo belt. Most of the work has been focused to the eastern side of that map. And as I said, we've made 3 discoveries, 2 in 2010, known as the Airstrip and Diabetes discoveries for copper and silver, and one we previously had called Nabili North, which is for nickel and copper. The 50 anomalies I spoke to you earlier about, and Peter will now come up and demonstrate to you why we think that we're a value proposition. If you have a look at this map, I get so excited every time I look at this. If you have a look at those blue lines coming out of that map, which is the VTEM anomalies, you know, we tested 3 before we flew this, and that's the Mobili North, Airstrip, and Diabetes. And then as a result of flying this, you know, look at that. And have a look at this. And none of this has been drilled yet, but we're preparing it all for drilling. So we really believe we have a major belt, and we really believe we're onto something fairly special. I think I'll leave it now to Peter to take up from here with the detail.
Right, I just want to actually go back a little here. Pat got carried away. We did a VTEM survey over here over about a 30-kilometre strike length earlier this year with detailed work over the Airstrip Mobili North areas and also over the Diabetes areas. These were previously known prospects, but nobody had ever actually cracked them and found anything significant at these Airstrip or Diabetes. We now have what we consider to be significant discoveries at both Airstrip and at Diabetes. One of the outcomes of this, of course, has been that this area to the east has shown up a large number of anomalies. There's been prospects there in the past, never had a drill hole in them, a little bit of soils work, and they kept on upgrading them but never quite committed to drilling. That work was done approximately 20 years ago when people were doing the soils work in these areas here. At Airstrip, we've got a whole series of conductors there, probably 14 or 15 of them, which were defined by IP. We're getting high grades of copper. We're getting grades that can be up to 60% copper in the narrow veins themselves, and we also have 1,000 grams plus of silver with that, sometimes up to 3,000 grams. Narrow veins, this one here, for instance, is about 60 centimetres in there. These are nice targets simply because the grade makes it possible to contemplate them being small, open pittable or underground operations. The conductors we were talking about, you can see a whole series of conductors through here. We've concentrated all our work on about 200 metre strike length in there with some additional drilling that's demonstrated that a number of these other conductors do have significant mineralisation associated with them also. So we've looked at 200 metres out of nearly 2,000 metres. Clearly not closed off. This was just a 1.5 by 1 square kilometre area that we've actually done our IP on. Plenty more potential with soil anomalies off to the southwest in particular. And a little bit of detail in here. This is the C6 conductor where we've been doing a lot of work, and we've hit this fairly intensively to try and understand exactly what we're dealing with. We now understand that what this is to a reasonable degree. We're looking at doing some modelling on this right now, and we believe that if we find several more of these, which would appear to be quite probable, then we'll have critical mass. Very early modelling on this just showed that we had a plunging chute. We understand what this is about. Debiti, the other discovery made late last year, we got very significant thicknesses of supergene oxide and sulphide mineralisation, have good grades. We're generally well over the 1% mark on anything from 15 to 30 metres thickness, always with significant silver. And we have substantial strike length over which we can find additional vein systems there. We found this initially by doing some IP. We've got very good continuity of the conductor running through that area. We initially tested along this particular line here. We defined what we considered to be a probable target area, even though the soil anomalies are of a larger size. And then we went in, drilled it. Visible mineralisation came up in the drill cuttings. This line here is the one where we've done some modelling on, and also a little bit over here. But you can see that all these other areas have had very few drill holes in them, a lot of potential still remaining there. Modelling showed a substantial body of mineralisation. The supergene oxide mineralisation is shown in this green colour. Primary mineralisation underneath is a plan view. We've lost one slide. This is a cross section across that mineralisation we were looking at before. These are this is the supergene oxides, and this is supergene sulphides, and may include some primary mineralisation as well. For scale, we're looking at about 50 metres across there. So this is not particularly large, but we believe that we're going to find quite a number of these, and these have several hundred metres strike length. Mabili North, this is a prospect which was initially found back in the 50s. It got a fair bit of work on in the very early 90s. And then ACAP and now BML are doing considerably more work on that now. We're focused on defining a resource to JORC compliant status. We've had some geostats done. We know we've got to do some more infill drilling. And we have also been able to show from detailed magnetics that there's another 600 metres or thereabouts of strike of the host, which was not known before. This is about 150 metre down throw of the host, and so it was never recognised previously. We've got an exploration target there, which is definitely a pre-JORC resource kind of guesstimate. So we think that we might have something in the order of 1 to 1.5 million tonnes at around a percent nickel, alternately 4 to 7 million tonnes at around about 0.5% nickel or thereabouts. This is only 50 kilometres away from the Saleeby-Piqui mine and smelter complex, and the Chief Geologist has already indicated that they'd be very interested to talk to us about obtaining the ore from this prospect. So it's an encouraging scenario. We're now looking at this eastern area. It contains 4 known previous prospects, and we've identified another 23 VTEM anomalies which require some follow-up. No prior drilling on any of these prospects at all. We have detailed soils work from the work done in 1990-91 on these prospects here, which are named. We've started doing some IP on these as well. These will be drilling targets very shortly. The VTEM modelling has been completed now, and we are now putting the thing together. All these other prospects, we're just bringing them up to turn them into targets which can be ranked for drilling purposes. So our recent drilling at Airstrip and Dabidi has shown very significant potential for primary copper and silver mineralisation and supergene copper-silver mineralisation, and resource estimates are currently being prepared. We have new conductors present at Maybelly North, never drilled before, although there's been a lot of drilling in there. These conductors run oblique to the other mineralisation and weren't well tested. VTEM data interpretation is going on, particularly out in that eastern area. We've got lots of new targets, and better defined targets identified. Every time we've drilled a VTEM target, we've found sulphides, so we know that our modelling is working. So just to wrap up, basically Airstrip, Maybelly North and Dabidi are where we consider that we'll have resources very shortly. And these ones through here are where we see major upside potential. Thank you.
Stay right there.